Welcome to Sports Bet Daily at oddsmarket.com. I'm Flash, and today we're going to be covering the golf Greenbrier Classic military tribute. And we're going to talk golf. We've got to be talking to Craig Edwards. Craig, we hit the post last week. Wiesberger, Schwab. We had a few. The boys got returns on their bets, but we didn't actually hit the jackpot. Can we hit the jackpot this week?
Yeah, I think we can. I mean, it's a bit folly to be overconfident at golf, but I really like the look of the week at the start. So I'm pretty confident. I'll see what I'm saying on Sunday night. But yes, I think we can.
Yeah, I mean, this is a course where there's sometimes like first-time winners, but it really is horses for courses. I mean, we get that quite a lot, but in this case, it really does stand true.
Yeah, I think the horses for courses stands up a bit more on courses which cannot be overpowered. So that brings into all the other professionals that earn their living, and sometimes when they're playing the monsters courses, they feel a little bit inadequate, and the big boys can make them look that way. But put them on a fiddly track where you've got to position your ball and play smart golf, and this is what Greenbrier has been over the years. So, yeah, it brings everyone into the equation.
Yeah, on the coast, West Virginia, been battered recently by them big wins, and obviously Hurricane Dorian going up that east coast. So I think we've got the right players in the right spots. Let's go. I mean, you were kind enough to send me over your picks. I've got the graphics for them as well for people to have a look at. Let's start with your top of the rest of the world, David Hearn, each way at 23.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. He's been on and off tour the last 2 years. I think going back to 17, a couple of years ago, he led his own Canadian Open after 54 holes. They've never had a home winner. And he got pipped by Jason Day. He didn't do that much wrong. And he's been struggling. But I've made a few bob on David Hearn over the years. He's quite a real workhorse, especially on TPCs. 4 top 20 finishes he's got here. The real interesting thing, though, is that the other week at the Corn Ferry Championships, he went back to try and get his full playing privileges. And on the last day, he went into the final round in 42nd position, so he knew he needed a good round. He got it round in 66 to get one of the 25 players cards. And I've got to feel that they've changed this tournament in the schedule as well. This will be one of his favourite events, if not the favourite. And there he is. He's just qualified. He should be feeling cock-a-hoop, and he's going to probably one of his favourite events. So a good time to get our money on him.
Nothing better than focusing the mind of losing your card. It's amazing how many players do that. They do it with the FedEx as well. When the fear of missing out, they focus that mind and they seem to get the job done. And also it takes that monkey off their back. I mean, they're not carrying that huge weight on them. They now can plan for the year ahead, and they know that if they have a good start, because the big guns don't turn up at these tournaments, so there's more points, there's more money to be had, they can sort of wrap up the season after next very, very quickly. Let's stay with David Hearn, top 40 at 3.10 with Paddy Power.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a lock and a banker for the week for people. Top 20 if you can't get top 40, but Paddy Power, a couple of other firms bet top 40 as well. If you can get on him, I think pretty much you should be odds on for the top 40 finish. You've got to remember, like you just said there, Flash, these lads are coming in, they're keen to earn the money. Players can be over the top for the season, the established players, and these lads from the Corn Ferry series, they're going to be really sharp. So I like him in all markets. So if you can get top 40, get top 40. If not, go to top 20.
Okay, we're going to move on. This is an interesting one and not really normally your bag, but Cameron Tringale, top 5 at 19 with Unibet.
Yeah, well, this would have paid out twice in the last 6 times he's played here. Second half of last season, I'm not a big stats man, but I do like him to back up what I'm thinking sometimes, if it kind of suits me, I suppose. And Cameron Tringale's stats were outstanding. There was 3 players whose stats were better than their results. And one was Cameron Tringale, Connors and Hovland were the other 2. And that suggests he was just not doing it as much as he should on the putting green. He likes it here, and like you just said there, this is a perfect opportunity in Flash to get the money in the bank, the points on the board. He's winless in his career on the PGA Tour, so he never has that exemption. So he needs to earn money, and coming to his favourite venue, he's a course specialist, just like David Hearn. Again, he's a perfect bet this week in the place markets.
Okay, we're going to move on because this one I know is your nap of the weekend. Jason Kokrak, top 20, 2.38. He's odds on with some firms. I'm
not surprised. I mean, again, another winless player on the PGA Tour, and people would think, can't make money. Well, you can make money out of him because he is so reliable. Last season, he finished 9th on the Tour standings without winning a tournament. That's with all them big boys, all through a season, and he finishes 9th. That tells you how consistent he is. Last year here, he was 3rd to Kevin Na, and again, he looks an absolute perfect bet. The only downside, he's probably not as hungry as the other two, but he's still winless. So you've got to believe that he's now wanting to win tournaments. We've taken the safe bet, but he's so consistent. I think he's had 12 out of the last 20 in the top 20.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Jason Kokrat, and I have him down as like a walk-in ATM. He cashes every week. He makes them cuts, and he's always in with a shout. He's almost like the present day, even though Charles Howell III's doing it himself still, he's almost like a Charles Howell III. He's always there or thereabouts. He doesn't miss many cuts. He gets paid. So, and also when he looks at this competition, he's 3rd in the outright betting. That there is a confidence boost in himself because it's not how he feels. That's a reflection on how the outside world feel. So, yeah, I think Jason Cockrat's got to be full of beans. I think he's got to be walking tall. Now, the other one is the Swede, David Lingmuth, top 20 at 7.
Yeah, this is a bit of one. So, he's got 4 top 20s here. He has been out of form this season. All his best results, most of them, not all, most of them appear to be on TPCs, and that's often a good guideline because TPCs are never usually overpowered. He nearly won at Sawgrass the other year. He got in a playoff at the Stadium course with Duffner, and he was in a real bad spell of form, and then I think it was the Barbazol or the Barracuda. He opened with 79, and people missed him missing the cut. You just see MC, and you think, well, he's played rubbish. But the second round, he shot 63. Next week, he had a top 20 finish, and he had obviously found something in his game that had made a difference. Since he went home to Sweden to play in the Scandinavian Invitation 2 weeks ago, he missed the cut. But I did follow him, and he was actually 4 under at one point in the opening round. So I think the form is there. He likes the course. It's definitely, it's not a banker, but I do think there's value in supporting David Lingmuth this week in the top 20. Yeah,
I mean, if you're going to go with David Lingmuth, you've got to hope that he has one of them streaky weekends with the putter because he's a good long iron player. He's straight on the tee. He's not the longest of hitters. I think he's only about 5'7", 5'8", which obviously with the giants of the 6'4" and 6'5", Peters and Wiesberger, obviously they're not in it this week, but just like the type of players that do play on this tour, then it's all about, and in fact, we're going to say about his height not being one of the biggest. I'll flick onto that in a minute. Let's have a look at the outrights. You give me 5. I'm going to add to it. And just to give you a clue, he's not one of the tallest players either. So let's have a look at these outrights, please, Rafa. We're going to go with Russell Henley at 41. Got a good record round here.
Yeah, superb record. 3 top 10s his last 3 times here. Pretty poor last season in the early part, but then he had a second place at the John Deere Classic about 4 starts ago. And I think after a bad season, he's going to be keen to hit the ground running and start to kind of re-establish himself back on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, he's another 54-old player for me. Or he always throws a dodge one in on a Saturday, shoots a low one Sunday, and he's always ruined that Saturday, or he's up there after Saturday night and he drops away on the Sunday. But he is they say that he's one of the best ball strikers on tour. What about Robert Streb, 66s?
Interesting, really interesting player. He plays his best golf at this time of year, and do they call it the fall over there at this time of year?
Yeah, so, in the summer.
And he's won his tournaments in October, the McColdry Classic the other year, and so this year he's been poor. And then about 2 months ago, he suddenly starts to play well. He's got pressure on him to keep his card. He gets a top 5 finish. Then he goes to the Corn Ferry, makes another top 5 finish, locks up his card, and then he's coming here this week. Well, the last 2 seasons, he's been second. Even amongst all the abject displays, he's been second at this course. So he's a real course specialist. And I think he was 11th the year before that. You can't not bet him this week. There is just no way around not betting him. He's a perfect chance. He's playing well. He's sharp off the Corn Ferry series. And he has everything in his favour.
Rafa, can we put that caption up again, please, of the outrights? Because you got Brendan Haggy there at 101, Brendan Todd at 126, and Tom Potter at 201. Tom Potter, he's won round here in 2012, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and he's had a 6th place finish as well. He's a real inconsistent sort of player, but as we saw at Pebble Beach last year, he can get the job done. He held off all the superstars down the stretch. Got to say, I had a little bet on him that time at 500, so he's a real favourite of mine. And thing is, last year he was poor most of the year, but then at the Rockets Classic he was 4th. That's only 4 starts ago, and he started making cuts. Again, very similar to all the players we've picked this week. He's going to want to hit the ground running and re-establish himself on the tour, because I think his exemption will be running out this season.
Okay, and I'm just going to add one there, as I always do. Got to have me 2 penneth. Last year's winner, Kevin Na. A new Kevin Na we see on the tour this year. He's already won. I know we're in a new season after the FedEx, but Kevin Na, 33-1, 50 odds, top 8. If there was a course that suits Kevin Na on hitting fairways, hitting greens, putting, walking them in, and hopefully, I know you haven't put him down, but I hope I'm going to talk you into just having an interest, because then we can both cheer him on come Sunday afternoon. At 33-1, maybe gets bigger if you shop around, but I'm definitely having a piece of Kevin Na. But I'm not letting Potter go without having a few shekels on as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Kevin Na is a rock solid pick this week. My scenario for not putting him in my picks was that it means he's going a back-to-back champion, which doesn't happen a lot on the PGA Tour, but I'm not sure. I was so strong on my other picks, I've left him out on that scenario, but to be truthful, that is not really a good scenario to leave anyone out.
No, especially Kevin Na, because we're seeing a more confident Kevin Na this year. He's only a 5'6", 5'7", and that might be me giving him a couple of inches, but actually walking in this field, he's like 6'2", 6'3", because he does mix it with Tiger. We go back to the players when they're walking putts in. The crowd love him, and he's a winner this year. So I don't think he's carrying much baggage. He's free riding, and I think this course suits him right down to the ground as long as that putter's working.
Absolutely, and you can go back to the TPC at Sawgrass. Some of his best performances are there, and I think some players are late maturing. Suddenly, although they haven't won a lot, they become so comfortable in their own skin. In the end, they just say, oh, fair enough, I haven't won a lot, but next time I'm going to get the job done. You don't have to beat yourself up because you've not won on your career. It doesn't mean it's a failure. He's earned millions and he's been a great player. And there's been quite a few over the years. Lauren Roberts, he went a record amount without ever winning. Then when he won about 7 times. So,
yeah, history tells us to follow them players once they get into the winner's enclosure, and follow them players that are top 10, top 20 at the same courses year in, year out. Craig, top me hat to you. We'll have a chat next week. Obviously, good luck with the snooker as well. And and let's hope Sunday night we're cashing in and we've put people in the right direction.
Let's hope so, Flash.
Cheers,
Feeling good
Craig.
at the
Top man.
moment.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, thank you, Flash.
No
Good night,
worries
mate.
at all. That was Craig Edwards talking the Greenbrier Military Tribute Classic in West Virginia. Now we're going to go to Moscow. We've got Esports. We're going to be with Adam. The CSGO Blast Pro Series, Adam. No maps up yet, so we can't get too giddy. We've got outright, so we're going to have a look at a bit later. But give me the emphasis on this tournament.
Just to be clear, I'm not in Moscow. It would be cool if one day Oddsmarket was sending esports correspondents to all the tournaments to report live, but I'm still in rainy England. But yes, looking forward to the tournament coming up. It's an interesting one. We'll get into the outrights in just a second. This is a tournament featuring 5 teams that are all going through a roster change of some sort, either this week or next week. So it's very much I think there's some significant opportunity to catch just the team that maybe has a bit more practice early on, or has developed the team chemistry with their new addition the quickest.
Ad, why did they do this? Why did they have a roster change when everything was going so well for them in the first place?
Yeah, well, it's something I've actually laughed about with colleagues quite a bit over the years. Esports is one of, especially Counter-Strike and Dota, it's one of those domains at the moment where if things aren't clicking within a span of, say, I don't know, 6 months to a year, it's because the pieces aren't right. And there's very little emphasis to this point in esports on coaching, on building rapport. Okay, you have to back up. A lot of these players come from, unlike team sports, I mean, this is a team game, but unlike team sports where you build social skills, working closely face-to-face with people, a lot of these 17, 18-year-old kids are coming up into professional gaming not having the skill set of dealing with other professionals. So even, I'm just going to adjust my camera there. So even though they're used to, talking, via the internet about calls mid-game, live, what needs to be done, their interpersonal and team building and leadership, those are qualities that take much longer, and they're not really that developed and nurtured so far in the professional scene. So if there's problems within a team, it's usually very quick in which, okay, well, it must be X and X player, who's the lowest performing player. Is it the strategy that's not working? Very rarely do coaches come in with the mindset, it's my job to balance the personalities of the team as well as the overall strategy and approach tactically. So, it's very annoying, I guess, as a bettor to see that, but it also opens up opportunities for sort of they call them honeymoon periods. That's something that does happen in professional sports as well, where new additions will just click. And everything, the motivation is very high because, we got rid of the, sour grape that was in the locker room, so to speak. And now we are motivated to prove that other player was the problem. And we've got all the pieces now to win a tournament or make a run over a period.
Adam, when I look at these teams, and then if you have how many do we have? We have, say, 5-man teams?
Yeah, that's right.
So if I have a 5-man team, are they all living in the same area? Do they actually get together? Or have we got players now that are all over the world and they just come together for the tournaments?
So esports has gone through evolutions of, in the early 2000s, it was players could be on a team for quite a year or 6 months or more and never actually meet each other. Then we went in the, I guess, early 2010 to 2014 period where team houses started to become really big, and they still exist. There are esports team houses where the organizations will pay for the 5 or 6 man team, including a coach or a manager, to come and live in some quite nice facilities, either in the States or Europe. And now we're moving towards, no, it would be great to have the team all located in the same, city area, but like professional sports, we found it's actually better for team chemistry that they treat this like a job. They're coming to work for practice, but they don't need to live together in the same space 24/7, where sure, if everything's great and they're all buddies, it works. But if, we've seen with, shows like The Ultimate Fighter or, Big Brother, where you're in the same space, even if things start off rosy, little quirks of having bad roommates or not being best friends can cause the professional part of your team to fall.
I agree with you, because I find that the majority of these people they're insular. It's them and their surroundings and the interaction of the game. Now, you all of a sudden put the weight of other people's personalities on them. It's obviously going to go pear-shaped unless you have a special type of character. Now, yes. I watched a program recently where there was esports gamers. They were vying for an F1 job. It was like,
wow.
But the level of skill that these gamers had, I mean, there was like 16 of them from all over the world. They got them down to the last 2, and they were actually performing just from simulation from a game to go and help F1 teams. And I think one of them got a job with Mercedes because he was that insular. It was like brilliant to watch, but you also thought, has he got a life other than sitting in that chair? Yeah,
well, that's the thing is, you need when they talk about sort of veterans within esports. The Astralis team that just won the major on the weekend, they've won 3 majors in the past 2 years, and the average age is 23 years old. They're the most dominant team in esports history, but they're called the most professional team because they don't kick their players. They have a coach who is their dad. He is their true leader. He manages them. He comes up with their strategies, but They were also the first team in CSGO to hire a sports psychologist to deal with their issues under pressure on the stage and in late game or late tournament scenarios where they were sort of prone to choking when the stakes were the highest. So the model that Astralis sets in esports is we need to treat this as though we're professional athletes or and professional anything really, and we're not going to cut corners pertaining to our mental health, our physical health, and even though they talk about the camaraderie and the brotherhood of the team, these aren't 5 players that live together. They go their separate ways when they return to Denmark, and I think esports team, I mean even the Complexity team that was bought by the Dallas Cowboys. In Texas there, they have a facility in Texas where they will they have a workout facility and their practice rooms. It's all state of the art, world-class stuff, but they aren't. It's not team houses, and that's as more money pours into esports. I think that's the stage 3 of developing true professionals, interpersonal professionals as well.
Well, I actually, I'm not going to declare too much too early, but I actually have a family member who's putting a team together for the new COD coming out soon, I believe.
Oh wow!
So hopefully we'll get him on there, and he can start boring me, because I'll be like trying to pick his brains and he'll just not give anything away. So, but listen, first of all, we're going to have a look at a few of these outrights, please, Rafa. Rafa, can you put that up? Rafa's been a bit on fire today. He's like, his reaction time, he probably put some of the gamers to shame. So we're going to have a look here. You can see that, can you?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, talk me through it.
Okay, so the tournament, yes, Moscow. It's the sort of hub. Esports is very big in Russia in the CIS region, and Blast Pro Series is a tournament organizer that chooses locations all over the world that maybe commonly don't get tournaments. I say that kind of lightly, but they do throw them everywhere. Like there was one in Turkey, there's one in Brazil, one in Miami. And the one in Moscow is featuring Natus Vincere, Team Vitality, ENCE, MIBR, Ninjas in Pajamas, and then there's a final spot play-in between Avangard, who were recently the major finalists on Sunday, and Force, who are a Russian squad that were eliminated in the major qualifier. Now, I'll go, Rafa, if you don't mind putting the odds back up, I'll just talk through the prices, actually. Na'Vi is the outright favorite, and a lot of that has to do with they are the only squad at this point that has not kicked any of their players, but their in-game leader, Zeus, just announced on Monday that he is retiring after the major. After Moscow. It's a huge deal. He's played the game for 20 years, and he has been the source of a lot of ridicule, I guess, for why Natus Vincere has not won a major. He did win a major when he was kicked from the team 2 years back, and he went to another CIS team. So then he was brought in, and the expectation, having the best player in the world, Simple, on the team, and as well as some other elite players, was that he was going to deliver a championship, a major trophy specifically. So with that announcement and with all the other teams making roster changes, either post-major or during the major, it doesn't surprise me that Na'Vi is the outright fave, and I do think there's value on them. I can't remember the last time I took Na'Vi on an outright, if ever. I'm thinking back like 4 years now, and I'm not sure if I've ever done it. Maybe it was MLG Columbus 2016. I'm thinking of laying money on them for this tournament. I think the fact that Zeus is retiring, it's in Moscow. He's Ukrainian, but he has been the face of Ukrainian and Russian Counter-Strike for most of the game since 2012 or whenever he formed. He was leading Na'Vi. So I think this tournament is going to mean a lot.
Adam seems to have crashed out there. He was in full flow, telling us that the favourites at 3.25, Natus Vincere, they were... he thinks it might well be a home champion. We're going to try and get him back. Until then, I'll just run through what Craig Edwards was saying, that his nap of the weekend at the Greenbrier Classic is Jason Kokrak at top 20 at 2.38. I've seen it. It's odds on elsewhere. I threw in Kevin Nahr at 33s. Outrights, Russell Henley at 41. Robert Streb, 66. Brendan Hadji at 101, Brendan Todd at 126, and Tom Potter, former winner at this course, 2012, at 200 to 1. Rafa, do we feel we're going to get him back? Well, we won't try too hard, you know. He was working hard, the lad. He's probably gone for a little rest. We'll give it one last go, and if we don't get him, then obviously I can go through what we've got coming up tomorrow. Wednesday, Serie A, Bundesliga. It's just La Liga. Then we go Premier League punters. It's just full on now. The last of the 2020 Euro qualifiers is today as we speak. They're going to be kicking off. So massive week from tomorrow. We're going to try Adam. Adam's back. Ad, you all right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to say it's your internet because... well,
it's always someone else's fault.
Into trouble.
Yeah, it's always easier to blame others. You know that. That's why you're not in one of them teams that have you out, wouldn't they?
Yeah. So all I was saying was, this is a great spot to finally, for me anyway, to finally take Na'Vi. That's how I'm feeling coming in. I've only seen pricing at Unibet so far for the outrights. I don't know if most of the other books are waiting for the play-in to complete, so you might have to check that back on Friday afternoon.
But would you take the 3.25 now before the others join the queue?
No, I don't think there's any need to. I think we'll see above a 3 at every book, or should. And the reason being, if we're looking in terms of talent level and sort of form over the past 6 months, Team Vitality Ants are also right up there with Na'Vi. Both of those, I mean, Vitality has had some really good matches with Na'Vi at the last major in February, and Ents has beat Na'Vi and beat Vitality, and Vitality's beat Ents. Those three teams are all priced about where I would say they should be, but the only outright I will, if I do, and I will tweet it out or put it in the article, will be to take Na'Vi on the outright. And we can also look at some match lines if you want to move on to that when you're ready.
Yeah, you fire away. You tell me. I've not got the graphics because obviously you didn't send them over. So that's your fault, not mine.
So starting with the play-in on Friday, Avangard playing Fours. Now, Avangard, just as I said, they played in the grand final of the biggest CSGO tournament in the second half of the year. They were a team that previously hadn't even qualified to the main event of a major. So they really punched above their weight, getting that far. I was impressed with them. I had them in the final at 5.5. They got destroyed by Astralis. That's sometimes the way these big dogs go. But here they're priced against Fours, a team that they've crushed in the past year. And they're priced at 1.8 at Pinnacle. Well, now it's 1.79. I grabbed them at 1.8 about an hour and a half ago. I can't understand why the price is so good here. You know, one thing we could talk about, Flash, is sometimes teams with travel in sports, they have a sort of hangover of sorts or jet lag.
How have you just said that? How have you just said that? I've just wrote down hangover or confidence boost from the last tournament.
That's so funny. And this is one of those times where I didn't have an article to send you for you to even go off of. So why don't you start us off then?
Well, see, this is the thing. I just worry about some of these teams that have not got the experience or longevity, if you like, of being able to go from tournament to tournament. Because what the good ones do is, as soon as that one's gone, that's gone. And they're obviously focused on this one. But then you have a dog who comes in and does so well, they'll all be congratulating themselves. They'll all be partying in their head, even if it's not like going out. Because remember, these are not the type of boys that are going to be going out nightclubbing because they'd rather go back and sit in their chairs. But what I'm saying is, so is it an emotional hangover? Or is it a confidence boost of, right, lads, that's how we did it last time. Let's repeat the dose.
So there is, we've found this before, is CSGO teams returning from LAN. It's called the post-LAN hangover, if you want to call it. And they'll return to their individual houses, and their play will suffer for a bit. Because one, the hype of playing on a stage, playing, in front of a crowd, being with your team, having your energy drinks or whatever other sort of substance you're using to get really in the game is not with you, and the play does suffer. Now, this is different because they're going from one LAN to another, and yet I do think that baked into this price is that sort of travel from Berlin to Moscow, sort of regression to, skill-wise, Avangard is not that much better than Fours. They played much better than Fours at the major, but they also, I guess, fit the right bunch of teams to get to where they got. I'm not going to say it was a lucky run, but they didn't have to go up against Astralis in the group stage, which maybe if they had, they would have been you never know what the way things work. I'm not saying they're a top 5 team in the world right now. I'm simply saying I can't understand the price on Avangard other than to say the lines or the general betting public is expecting them to feel a hangover post-major. Now, it's very difficult. Now, but the thing is they're being priced at 1.8, not 1.5. So you can't say the value is on Fours here, given what we've seen. I don't know how you could play Fours except to anticipate that Avangard will not play well. That's really, but unless you have insider information into that, you're purely making assumptions. And that doesn't lead to consistent results in a betting aspect when you're trying to guess the psyche and the morale in a team without having without knowing certainly that information. So I'm going to go with Avangard. I put 1.5 units down on them on the money line. I'm not going to get involved in maps if they're down a map or live betting. If they don't show up to play, just cut it. This is a gimme price. If they are ready to go, it should be, fairly convincing, I would say, 6-7 round differential if they're playing like they did at the major. So that was my first play on Friday, and that's the first match. I think it's kicking off our time. You got the time? I've got it here. It's 2 days, 16 hours from now. So, yeah, it'll be afternoon. So for you European guys, you can get that down in the morning, and if you want to wait for maps or something like that. But I do think there's significant value in what we've seen from Avangard. And they're playing Forres, who, it wasn't like Forres was also a playoff team. Forres bowed out at the qualifier. They lost to Dream Eaters as a heavy favorite. So I don't see the value in taking Forres at even money or 2.1 or whatever they're at.
Okay, Ad, we're going to wrap it up. We think that I'm going to go with you, with Nat V, but there again, why wouldn't I go with you when you're the one up there answering my questions and putting us all on the right track? Keep us updated, obviously, on Twitter and in your article with obviously what's going to go on once the maps come out. And I look forward to having a chat with you again soon.
Absolutely. So just one thing, I will have an article out on the 12th, that's Thursday, and I'll have all of my plays for at least the opening round and an outright, as always. And by the way, the articles, even though I didn't have a good CSGO major, articles on the Dota International and the CSGO major crushed it. I think we're up 19 units and 60% over the last 6 weeks. So definitely check out the article. I'm talking to you, Flash, and I'm talking to anybody watching the video. Yeah,
listen, you don't get on this show unless you're crushing it. So just by being on and me saying, by the way, we're going over to Adam, means you're crushing it. Because, again, we'll have to do a roster change when myself and Nat sit down and decide who's in the team. I've just got to make sure that I'm still in the team, so I'll just keep my end up as well. Ad, thanks for your work, mate. Keep going, and we'll speak to you soon. Looks like Ad's crushed out again. That'll be our fault. It's always someone else's fault. But just to reiterate what's happening tomorrow, La Liga, Bundesliga and Serie A. Can't wait. Number one will be in with his banker at 1.05 or something bonkers like that. But as long as it wins, that's what he says. And I'll have Radak and Alex doing the Bundesliga. Martin will join us. And we might even have a little bit of Chef Michael for Serie A. Till then, take care.